don't think we've been properly introduced. I'm James Bigglesworth. My friends call me Biggles.
The year was 1986. Fresh from watching Tom Cruise perform a 4G inverted dive, among other manoeuvres, cinema goers had another chance to go uppity up with a Top Gun who's also top hole. Biggles is a bit of an oddity. It's based on a series of boys' own adventure stories which, in a distant age before J.K. Rowling's adverbs, entertained impressionable lads, including myself, while imparting key life lessons such as beware the hun in the sun and shoot where the plane's going to be. To this rather musty and stiff upper-lipped source material, the film boldly adds a bunch of brash contemporary Americans, a synth-tastic soundtrack, and a time travel plot heavily inspired by Back to the Future.
Going back to 1917.
If you're wondering, is Biggles a good movie? You're asking the wrong question. If you're wondering, does Biggles feature dogfighting biplanes, a woman pulling out a dead man's eyeball, and Peter Cushing living in Tower Bridge with a raven, then the answer is yes. Yes, it fucking does. We open, as you'd expect from a film about a World War I flying ace, in 1980s New York, where we meet frozen food entrepreneur Jim Ferguson, who it soon transpires is the film's actual protagonist. Jim gets a nocturnal knock on the door from none other than Peter Cushing, who, while not as scary as CGI Peter Cushing, creeps him out with talk of some strange event he's meant to have experienced. Jim sends him packing, but seconds later the special effects team spring into action, and he finds himself transported to a field in Bedford to the Western Front, 1917. There he casually avoids a face full of biplane and rescues the pilot, who is, of course,
James Bigglesworth.
But no sooner has he handed the man his business card,
80s style.
than he's sent back to the future. Having, I guess, shrugged the whole thing off as a bad Quaalude strip or something, Jim attempts to get on with his life peddling pornographic TV dinners
Munch the starlet tonight.
until Cushing pays him another Dutch Anglia visit. Lightning does indeed strike a second time, and Jim rejoins Biggles for a redo of his previous mission, photographing a German secret weapon. Opposing them is Prussian poster boy Captain von Starlein, whose pre-flight badassery leads into the first of our flying sequences. And while he'd be forgiven for anticipating obvious blue-screen fakery a la 1982's Firefox, for instance, this modestly budgeted Brit flick only bloody well delivers. Despite the best efforts of von Starlein and guest director Paul Greengrass, Biggles pulls it off, so to speak.
Got the photograph!
Jim is again returned to the 80s, and realising he can't simultaneously run a business and gun down Fritzers, catches the next flight to Heathrow. Fetching up at one of the coolest fictional residences ever, in one of the dodgiest outfits ever,
80s style.
Mr. Ferguson finally gets the lowdown from Cushing, aka Captain Raymond. He explains he's Biggles' former CO, making him nearly as old as Cary Grant's grandmother, before dropping this bombshell.
I think Biggles is your time twin.
Time twin?
Yeah, Jim, time twin. What's implausible about that?
If the enemy has developed a weapon that allows them to break through the Allied lines, then Germany could well win the First World War. History would be altered, and you'll be stuck in 1917, a sort of time orphan, I suppose.
No pressure then. Jim suits up for his next trip back, but when the expected strike, unusually for London, fails to occur, he suits down again, which is when it happens. At least he wasn't on the job. After showing some nuns his ballsack, he gets acquainted with Biggles' hetero life mates Bertie, Algie and Ginger, before acquiring a nasty habit himself. So progressive. Turns out the Brits are behind enemy lines, so Biggles can meet Maria from a low, who has the hots for him, and also a map. Alas, von Starlein is hip to their scheme, ja? And all the chaps bar Pistachio Disguisey are captured. Biggles gets to indulge in some Bosch bashing.
To the gods of war.
To peace.
I would rather finish you myself. In the air, the firing squad will not be nearly as enjoyable.
But far less likely to botch the job.
Rouse!
And, well, that escalated quickly. Thankfully, Jim administered some nick-of-time nourishment. But instead of getting to find out how the fuck the others make it back across the German trenches in a truck, he's forced to endure his co-workers' triggering attitudes to his stunning bravery.
He's become a religious transvestite.
Hearing his explanation, Office Romance is sympathetic yet sceptical, while Porkins, yes it is he, telephones the Popo, who promptly arrest him for hate speech. Once more, Jim gets a blast to the past, and this time Debs comes along for the ride. Furs were a bad choice! Following a spot of grenading, it's into the caves, which lead to the location of the German weapon. A few dead Jerrys later, they arrive in Detroit?
Looks like this town was nuked.
Nuked? What's that?
It's American slang word. It means to overreact.
Our motley crew happen upon an igloo clad in ceramic tile, and are captured again before Debs gives Fritz a bit of a spritz. They then get to watch as Fritz is fried by his own side, and realise exactly what it is that German engineering has cooked up.
They perfected a bloody sound weapon.
Moments later, Jim and Debs are inconveniently zapped back to Blighty while the former is exercising his Second Amendment rights, and the Fuzz give chase. Debs adds to her already astronomical dry cleaning bill, and Jim is checkmated by a chopper until Biggles appears, because this time it's Jim who's in danger, and that's how the time hole works.
Time twin.
The begoggled aviator takes a brief moment to acclimatise, not realising how ridiculously cosy 80s London would appear to future viewers.
Great Scott, it's beyond comprehension.
Outlandish haircuts and an open flame? Heavens to Betsy! The punks prove their harmlessness by helping our duo reach the safety of Tower Bridge, where, rather touchingly, Raymond is reunited with his old friend.
Biggles. Have I met you, sir?
I'm William Raymond.
Captain Raymond. Good God.
Oh, I've missed you, old friend.
But there's no time to lose, apparently, and armed with a photo from earlier which Raymond has developed,
Computer enhancement.
the twins abseil down the tower and...
Get to the chopper!
Hey, what do you think you're doing? We better get out of here before they see us. Wait a minute, you're not seriously gonna try to fly this thing, are you? You don't know how!
If you can fly a sop with camel, you can fly anything.
oh yes. I'm not gonna lie, I unironically love this movie's theme song. After fucking around with the autopilot, they're back at the front, their crazy contraption causing von Starline to suspect he ate some bad bratwurst. Cue more enjoyable aerial hijinks, culminating in a genuine helicopter landing on a moving train.
Don't be spiteful, she's a handful.
Shame about the music in this bit. Oh well. Biggles violates the Temporal Prime Directive some more for good measure before dispatching Bertie, Algy and Ginger to the convent to protect the sisters and his foreign squeeze. Then it's off to destroy the weapon.
You still with me, Ferguson? What do you say?
I say, let's kick some ass, old boy.
Biggles' plan is simplicity itself.
The microphone! Throw it out onto the speaker! I'm gonna fight sound with sound!
And when the sound in question is worse than Ed Sheeran being fed through a mincer, the Germans indeed do not like it up 'em.
My saber! it, eh?
Ho ho! But the Huns aren't done, and after a seriously ballsy opening gambit, Biggles' pals are soon in a dashed awkward spot. That is, until the president of celebrity dinners serves up an even deadlier dish from above. The Jerrys flee, and we're all set to break out the mission accomplished banner when von Starlein shows up to spoil the party.
Get down! Let's go!
With the timeline taken care of, Biggles gets the red mist, and it is fucking on. Out of ammo, the leather-clad legend exchanges grenades with the pesky Prussian, and thanks to some off-screen legwork and an aim to rival Luke Skywalker's, Biggles survives, and it's Auf Wiedersehen, Eric. Vengeance exacted, our hero returns and somberly awaits his love's last breath. But instead of saying hello to the afterlife, Maria is revived by a magical god beam. Praise be! Jim too can look forward to a bit of hanky-panky when he returns to the 80s and Raymond, who has two kinds of seniority, secures his release. I hope she showered after that bin. Cut to the happy ever after, from which, of course, Mr. Ferguson is plucked for one final gloriously un-PC cooking pot rescue.
Quick, untie us! Get us out of here before they start realising you're not a god, you're just an American!
And as our heroes embark on a new adventure we'll sadly never get to see, I feel obliged to return to the question, is Biggles a good movie? Probably not in a strict artistic sense. But is Biggles, with its absurd yet effective premise, likeable characters and solid action, a fun way to spend 90 minutes?
Absolutely, Ferguson!